Joey, let's come to you. You cover the sport for us week in and week out. They all said that it was the most accomplished team that they've ever had. But this is Saban's 6th championship in 14 years. Was this the best team he's had?
I don't know if it's the best team he's had because the defensive side wasn't as dominant all season long. They had a couple games where they gave up a lot of points, but they might have their best game last night. And I guess when you look at a football team, if you can play your best game when you need it, that's what matters. I feel like every couple years we're having this conversation about Nick Saban in Alabama. Is he the greatest? Greater than he was the last time we said he was the greatest. Is this the best team he's had? The last time we said this is the best team he's had. So he just keeps getting better. And so, you know, when you look at this offense, they won like 17 out of the 15 awards out there. So this is a very talented offense. They've been dominant all year long. And last night was just the finisher. It was like, okay, now we've officially ran through everybody and proven that we are by far the best team in college football.
Again, it's just from perspective, and we'll talk more about Saban a little bit later, but he's now won as many championships as Bear Bryant won at Alabama, and he's done it since he got there in 2009. He's done it in 14 seasons. So, Joey, I'm sure that a lot of fans are watching the game. You were a receiver. I'm sure a lot of fans are watching the game saying, why can't they cover DeVonta Smith at all? At all. Why was he able to dominate this game the way he did?
No, I knew he would have a good game. I mean, he's had a good game every single game. I didn't expect to see 12 catches for 215 and 3 touchdowns in the first half, and they tried everything. Sometimes the other team is better than you are. And they tried to double him. They tried to go zone. They tried to go man. And it makes it difficult now when you got Najee Harris on the field that you also have to deal with. You have John Mechie. You have Mac Jones, who played quarterback at a very high level this entire season. That's a lot to deal with from a defensive coordinator. And sometimes the guys on the other sideline are better than you are. And it doesn't matter what you call. It doesn't matter what you try to do. You just can't do it. And they come into this game without Tommy Togiai, without Tariq Smith, that front line that absolutely dominated in the Clemson game and really changed that game. They didn't allow Trevor Lawrence to stand in the pocket and look around the field. Mac Jones had time to look around the field, and when Mac Jones has time to look around the field, they're pretty darn good. So it was just a tough night in a very talented Alabama offense.
Yeah, Ohio State missing a few players on that defensive line because of COVID concerns. No excuses. It was what it was. But Bama, a dominating performance. Dan, just what did you see from Smith in particular? The Heisman Trophy winner. Maybe a lot of people didn't get to see that much of him this year. Saw him for the first time last night. He was just dominant.
Yeah, Greeny, watching Ohio State try to cover him was like watching Joey Galloway when he puts social media clips of him trying to make a 3-putt birdie putt. Like, it's just brutal to see, and it never ends the way you want. You know, I had Alabama versus Arkansas, and I remember talking to a couple coaches about DeVonta Smith, 3 SEC coaches this year who all have coached 12 years or longer in the SEC told me that he's the best receiver they have ever seen in the conference. I mean, those are some strong words from those coaches. And covering guys, I mean, Joey, you notice it's who's and how's. Who are you going to cover him with, and how are you going to cover him? And listen, he didn't do this against some ragtag group. This is Ohio State. I mean, this is Ohio State that's got a corner in Sean Wade that people are putting into the conversation as a first-rounder. And this was an absolute wear-out session. The different places they moved him. Sometimes it was the bubble screen to get him on the perimeter. Sometimes down in the red zone it was the quick throw against motion. Sometimes it was putting him at the number 3 spot and getting him matched up on a lesser athlete. So it was really good job of placing him in different areas and just his talent. He reminds me so much of Justin Jefferson from LSU, so much of Keenan Allen for the Los Angeles Chargers. Just one of those guys that you can point to and say he will just wear you out with his route running, and that's why he's such a special guy.
Jeff, what'd you think?
Yeah, it was almost unfair, Greeny. Listen, and Joey made a great point about the protection for Mac Jones. I mean, I reference it this way. As an offensive lineman, you say, I want my quarterback to be able to smoke a cigarette in the pocket. What does that mean? Sit back, nice and calm, relax, and just go make the play when you have to. Well, guess what? Mac Jones had all of that. Look how wide open that is to Smith coming out of the backfield. I mean, again, he's in little zip motion. Orbit motion. He's coming around. But it all starts on how dominating it was up front. And when you give that much talent, that much time to a receiver, I don't care who you got back there. There's nobody who can cover him one-on-one in zone with that much time for Mac Jones to be able to dissect this defense. Listen, it was unfair. As you watch this game progress, you just felt helpless for the Ohio State defense.
Yeah.
There was a lot of also eye candy, as they call it, before these plays. Give credit to Steve Sarkisian.
Right.
That was a very impressive and creative offense. He now goes off to get a head coaching opportunity, but he did an unbelievably good job. We will talk about Mac Jones, the quarterback for Alabama, a little later in this hour and break down his performance. But, Dan, let's talk about Justin Fields, quarterback at Ohio State, clearly playing after the huge hit that he took a week and a half ago. So much at stake for him. What did we see from him last night, Dan?
Up and down. And that's going to be the conversation about Justin Fields kind of from this moment forward. There were some misses. You saw the early shallow cross. You go, man, if he hits that to Garrett Wilson, that might be a touchdown. Down in the red zone, one-on-one, Wilson wins. Again, you go, man, Justin, you've got to make those throws. But then there was also some big plays from him that I loved. Certainly missing that check down. I thought he had Chris Olave up the sideline there. But you saw some of the toughness, the leadership, the ability to use his legs. He did make some big throws. The thing that stood out, Greeny, was this. He needed to be perfect, and he wasn't. The only chance Ohio State had for them to win was perfection by Justin Fields, and he wasn't perfect, and people are going to beat him up for that today. I still think he's a remarkable player.
Yeah, and he will hear his name called early on the first night of the NFL draft. The question is how early. We'll get into that as we go. Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.